Valentino said, more subjective, more analytical in their writing. And that is the huge task that has been put forth on my shoulders. And I'm hoping to generate a lot of enthusiasm, not just for the journalism program, but for sports, for other beats as well, for the marriage between sports and politics, sports and medicine, a number of different types of stories. And I think that one of the things that we have to do, and it's been said before, is that we have to put money behind it. And I think that a lot of our students, not just in UE, but our up-and-coming students in Form 6, are saying, well, how much does a sports journalist make? Because you did adequately describe, perhaps, that, how can I support my family as a sports journalist, and what's that all about? So when it comes down to it, we're back into this notion of the capitalistic enterprise. How do I make money? How am I going to support my family? So that's where we are with the journalism program, and I'm looking here, or I'm here today to find some answers. Okay.
Well, the floor is now yours. I suppose there's a roving microphone. Okay, there's a microphone on this side. Okay, all right. Oh, okay. So, you just go in order. Just line up behind the microphone and ask questions, make your points. And, okay, so we have someone who is...
That's very difficult to see.
While he's coming to the microphone, can I ask the young people, how many of you would take a job as a sports reporter?
Oh.
Right, very good. Check Valentino Singh afterwards. He has some jobs. Yes. Yes. Yeah, yes.
All right, very quickly. I want to suggest part of the problem is the way these sports just are stuck. I'm talking from years and years of experience, both sides as a writer and somebody involved in skating events. And I have found one of the problems, and people in the community, so they're not on this. Very often you have to get the story to the newspaper. I was saying, no, they disagree, they say, oh, okay, remember? Did you not hear it?
While we're waiting, can we get your name? Because I should have said that at the start. Yes. Can we interrupt? Yes. Can you identify yourself and say where you're from, please? And that's the rule for everyone. Sorry?
I'm a sports coordinator. I write for a webpage. I've been involved in different kinds of journalism over the years. But again, I want to suggest part of the problem is the fact that the way some of these, I don't mean in the rotary, the organizations are set up. If you have something in Mayaro, if you have something in Labrie, you want to get the story up to Port of Spain. 1. 2, everybody assumes people are media savvy and tech savvy. That may not be correct. 3, and you all are professionals. If you have to sit down and edit that story, and with your, short staff there, 9 out of 10 times you have to pass it over. So I'm starting one, the way your sports desk are set up in terms of that inability to cover a large area, leave policy, leave the headquarters. Let's start there because people want to read about themselves. So that one thing of course I want to make. Thank you.
Your point goes to the heart of the centralized nature of the media
And
the absence.
Control.
Yeah, and well, I'm just planning time here for the next person to come on. That's what. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just to let you know that I alluded to the fact that we have lots of constraints as it relates to resources on the sports desk because our owners, the people who spend the money to hire staff for the company, are not particularly interested in sports. So you have to buy their interest. And unfortunately, we have not been able to do that. So part of the way we operate in terms of communities and whatnot, to try to ensure as wide as possible representation of the country, we would like to speak to someone in the community and say to them, listen, get the information to us, whatever it is, and one of our writers will either contact you if we need more information, or if the information is adequate, we'll get it into the papers. But it has to be something that is worth getting into the paper in the first instance, because a lot of times you get all kinds of things about a win-ball cricket match between some street and another street that really has no value except within that community. So these things must be weighed against all the other information that you have coming into the newspaper on a daily basis, and also against the constraints we have with space. A newspaper, whether you want to believe it or not, and despite all the ideals that you hear a newspaper stand for, a newspaper is to make money. That's what it is for. And at the end of the day, I cannot go to the advertising department and say to them, remove this ad because I have this big story. Well, I could trade only if Keyshawn Walcott wins an Olympic gold medal. But apart from that, we are constrained to a large extent by space and the quality of the work itself.
Okay, thanks. Let's disagree immediately that your position that a newspaper is to make money. Although it will make money if it does good journalism. Next.
I referenced this as Kenyatta Coville, Texas Southern University, and you spoke about the American model and the capitalistic component of it, eloquently and correctly, I may add. And what we're finding out in the States, as a sport management person that organized a concentration in journalism, that interest to get students involved, one, because they had some frustrations in their writing courses or English courses coming up through grade school, and the fascination with the television and radio component has overtaken that print model, as you said. And then those that come on late, as this gentleman said, that has kind of bumped into the writing component of it now have the ease of creating their own websites and blogs where they can find their own dynamic to get in and create this mass media. So even in the States, I must admit that there is a lot of journalism programs that have had huge concerns about how do they move forward and balance the art of writing and putting out good stories with the capitalistic component of generating revenues to kind of marry the two. So first I say I don't envy your task with all of you all up there as you try to move forward with that. But those are some of the issues you see in the States. So some of the things that you talk about here are not anything that is just magic to this area, even though it may be slow or behind or whatever. These are some emerging issues that have been in the States that I've seen and even in Europe from those discussions I had. So one of the things that you have to think of is that creative lens of getting these young people involved in looking at new lenses of how they disseminate information and what is the best practice to do that. Those are some of the suggestions I have, is how do you involve younger people and ask them how do they like their information, but being respectful for those that like it the traditional way, but how do I bring those together and find a financial model that is stable moving forward? I think that's the question as we kind of come up with that I must be honest and have a difficulty in answering myself, but I would like your opinion about that if you have time.
Mm-hmm. You want to take it?
Yeah. For me, I mean, like I said, sorry? Yeah. Well, like I said, why the 68 is just 2 years old. It's a new website. But for me, the starting point is to get readership, and you build from there. You try to get a business model that works around that. But essentially, you're selling your readers to advertisers who want to put the products, before them, before the readers that they do have. So I say, yes, you do try, like Sunti said, to get news out there that is informative and what people want, because the onus on you to bring those readers in. So I personally think that the first step is to try to satisfy your audience, being the readers, give them a reason to log on, especially now that there's so much distraction around you, and the hardest thing is to get someone's time, It's probably easier to get $1 from someone than to get 5 minutes, So I think once you target what you have, you always pay attention to what people are reading and what they're not reading, see what information is missing, and that sort of thing. And I think that, to me, that would be the best way to start in building a business.
Yeah, your name and...
Kelson Court, University of Guyana. I'd like to add a suggestion to the coordinator for the last presenter. I believe if the students have concerns in actually creating interest in journalism, what can be a possible solution by the University of the West Indies is to integrate entrepreneurial courses so they can actually have that skill component, how they can create their own marketing. That suggestion can be transferred also to the sporting department, since jobs are concerns. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening.
Yes.
My name is Alvin, and first I'd like to commend the people at the top table. The thing about you people up there is that you're very competent in what you're doing. So it's easy for you to understand some of the problems that exist in the business of journalism. I am not a journalist. Don't forget it. What I would like to say is that a lot of the people who think of covering sport, whether it's on the radio, the television, the newspaper, they do not see themselves as wanting to learn about the sport. They want to write about it. They want to look at it superficially as if it's a movie and say, oh, that guy can punch or this one can kick. Really and truly, they do not have the in-depth study of journalism. Hence the reason why a lot of our sporting items and sporting events have not been well established in the media, simply because there's a lack of satisfaction in the gist of what is being read on the newspaper. How do we do it? I happen to have been in one of the biggest sporting organizations in the world. And anytime there is a coaching course for that particular sport, media personnel are asked to attend. They are asked to participate. They are asked to try and understand what the sport is all about. How many times have we seen the West Indies cricket team and things have been described about them, and they're only actually critical. They're not organizational. It's not why it has happened. It is not how it has happened. It is not how it should happen. So all they are doing is giving lip service to a picture that they have seen. They've not studied it in its entirety. Thankfully, we've got people like the chairperson there who's very analytical and very investigative. And on the other two, on the far side, I don't know the lady, and I'm sorry I don't, but I do know the others. And you do a pretty good job of it. But that does not mean that you cannot teach other people to do the same thing. What about the thought of having in the secondary school system, because they play a variety of sports. They play football, basketball, cricket. Why can't we have some of the students practice the art of journalism from in the school system? Why can't we have the teachers guide them along the path? Is it only dancing and choir and guitar and calypso and steel band? Journalism is not a profession. It is a vocation. It is something that you can identify and improve the quality of life in a country. And I believe that as soon as you put journalism right, you're going to increase the quality of sport that you watch at. And more than anything else, you're going to increase the same seats, the empty seats that we talk about in the stadium. We're going to find more people showing up.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Cornell. That idea is actually has been proposed and has never been adopted, which is in the school league, you get the students to write up the report as part of their own training as future journalists and so on, to do their own commentary and things. And those things could be dovetailed with a TV station, a radio station. So it's a worthwhile idea to put on the table.
Cohen Weston, student teacher. I heard Lasana say that the onus is on us to bring the information.
You have to
them.
speak up a little.
I heard Lasana say that the onus is on us to bring the information to them. Now, a lot of times, said about 25 people in the